Hello BookTube and welcome back to my channel. My name is David and we are back for the 15th installment of the library tour of 2023 where I'm going through 10 books at a time, showing them to you, reading the back in an effort to not only introduce you to books that you might be interested in, but to also vet out if everything in my collection is still something I want to have in this collection. I am actively trying to downsize some of the stuff as I go through it. There are a lot of books as I finish them. Almost instantly go into the I'm gonna ditch this pile. Because it's not something that I feel like I'm ever gonna want to revisit. Or even have on hand. So, and there are some that are books that I got into from assorted hauls of, collections where there'd be 20 books and I might have put in the bid for $1 based on one or two of the books I knew in there, but there's a whole lot of others that came along with it. So this is me getting a chance to kind of trim the herd a little bit and make sure that what I have on my shelf is what I genuinely am interested in reading. So let's get underway. We start off here with Sometime Never. This is by William Golding, John Wyndham, and Mervyn Peake. So you'll recognize some of those names, probably. So it says, each of the three tales of imagination in this book is by a master of the art. And in each there is an incident, an invention enough to surpass most full-length novels. That's a pretty bold claim. Envoy Extraordinary by William Golding tells a barbarian genius who arrives in ancient Rome with three inventions, and the results are appalling. My favorite is the Golding. I don't think anyone has ever handled this theme with the wit and style shown here. Arthur C. Clarke. Consider Her Ways by John Wyndham presents a shocking and utterly convincing picture of a world of women without men. Boy in Darkness by Mervyn Peake is a venture into a dreamlike world of strangeness and terror, quite unlike anything you have ever read and unforgettable. So there you go. That sounds actually pretty good. This is a very wibbly wobbly book here, you can see. It is not one that is likely to survive long past that reading. But you never know. I might enjoy those and want to just keep it around, in spite of its flaws. We have Claudius the God. I read I, Claudius last year and really enjoyed it. One that I think I'm going to need to revisit at some point in time because there's just so much that I don't really have a familiarity with in the ancient world. So that's part of why I haven't gotten around to Claudius the God yet. But if Steve Donahue happens to start up a wee Claudius read through, maybe that'll be the excuse I need to pick up one again and then get to the other. So I'm not going to read the back of this because I don't want to spoil anything. Next, we have The Immortals by James Gunn. It is a startling novel by James Gunn. Their golden blood. It was a world of utter peril and crippling fear with one bright thread running through it, the golden blood of the Immortals. And they were cruelly pursued by rulers, rich men, and medics because their precious blood was specific for all mankind's ills, including death. Beautiful and young, aged and wise, the Immortals lived a subterranean existence, hiding from those who would batten on them and bleed them white. Yeah, that sounds kind of interesting. I'll hang on to that one. So we have here Forever War. I can tell you this is a stay. This is probably not the copy of Forever War I want. There's a omnibus volume that has all three of the books in the Forever trilogy, along with some additional content in there. And that's what I really would like to have for my collection. But I do have all three of them individually. So this is the Forever War. For those that have not read the Forever War, there is an event coming up in, I think it's July. BookTube at War. And if you're looking for something to read, this is my wholehearted recommendation right here if you've never read The Forever War. It is outstanding. It says, Private William Mandela hadn't wanted to go to war, but being one of Earth's best and brightest, he, along with the rest of his prime and promiscuous co-ed cadre, had been drafted into the interstellar conflict. Battling the Taurans was least of his problems as he worked his way up through the ranks to major, and spanning the stars at faster-than-light speeds he aged only months, while Earth aged centuries. And though war in space was hell, Major Mandela soon learned it was nothing compared to coping with 1,200 drastically changing years back home. Yeah, it's interesting. It's beyond fascinating. And one of my absolute favorite reads I've ever done. Yeah. I can't recommend this strongly enough. I can give a slightly less strong recommendation to Forever Peace, which is the sequel. It does not follow our protagonist from the Forever War, Mandela. It follows a new person. So there's no real spoilers in this one because it's same world, same universe type thing, but very, very different stories. 2043 AD, the Negumi War rages, fought by soldier boys, remote control war machines run by soldiers hundreds of miles away. Julian classes one of these soldiers, and for him, war is indeed hell. The psychological strain of being jacked into as soldier boy, the genocidal results are becoming too much to bear. Now he and his lover, Dr. Amelia Harding, have made a terrifying scientific discovery that could literally put the universe back to square one. For Julian, however, the discovery isn't terrifying. It's tempting. Forever Peace. Also, strong recommendation. If you've read The Forever War, but haven't read Forever Peace, that one might be worth a shot. And then Forever Free, the third book in the trilogy. If you've read The Forever War and you want more following the characters from Forever War, Forever Free would be a good choice to pick up. All three of those I strongly recommend. We have another Joe Haldeman, All My Sins Remembered. I read this one, I think earlier this year, or late last year. Absolutely wonderful. Such a delight. About a guy who leads multiple lives. And as you can see there, the different masks. No creature in the galaxy is deadlier than man. Otto McGavin, one of the 12 prime operators in the universe, worked for the clandestine arm of the Trans-Space Peacekeeping Agency as a ruthless guardian of alien rights. He traveled from planet to planet, his body encased in plastiflesh, his mind disguised by personality overlay, infiltrating bizarre alien cultures, surviving by raw instinct and violent assassination on exotic, blood-swept worlds, and always he returned to his original self, his conscience stabbed by the memory of all those he'd killed in the service of interstellar harmony. Strong recommendation there. Maybe not for BookTube at War. Yeah, probably not. We have a pair of Joe Haldemans that I have not read yet. So we have Camouflage. This one says, unknown to anyone, two creatures have wandered the earth for generations. The aliens have no knowledge of each other, but share a residual memory of a mysterious sunken relic and an affinity for deep water. One, the changeling, has survived by adaptation, taking the shapes of many different organisms. The other, the chameleon, has survived solely by destroying anyone or anything that threatens it. Now, finally brought up from the bottom of the sea by marine biologist Russell Sutton, the relic calls to them both to come home. For all these generations, there have been two invincible creatures on Earth, but the chameleon has decided there's only room for one. That sounds wonderful. And if everything I've read by Haldeman up to this point is any indication, I'm going to really enjoy that. And then we have Worlds Apart, a novel of future survival. In the year 2085, 1/3 of the Earth's population was destroyed in World War IV in one day. Then a deadly plague struck, bringing insanity and horrible death to anyone over the age of 18. Citizen Marion O'Hara of New York, one of the satellite worlds that are the last outposts of humanity's future, has 3 choices: to seek out her lover, who wanders the savage earth, attempting to heal Manson cultists who pursue death as a sacrament; to remain at home, protected by her communal marriage; or to journey into deep space, find a new world, and help humanity start all over again. So there you go. You're going to hear it first right now. My plan, so last year I did, June, I encouraged people on my birthday to read a Harlan Ellison short story. I'm going to encourage this year people to do the same thing, but for Joe Haldeman. We're going to read a Joe Haldeman short story, and it'll be delightful. I have not read a single bad thing by this guy, short story or novel. So we have Calling Captain Future by Edmund Hamilton. These are next two are both from Hamilton, and the first couple on my next tour are going to also be Edmund Hamilton. Captain Future, great enemy of evil, is called on to save humanity. James Carthew, president of the solar system, watched from the government tower, his face lined with worry. Outside, thousands of people were demonstrating. Once loyal citizens, they now urged Carthew to yield his power to a diabolic stranger named Dr. Zorro, a being from another mysterious system who had hypnotized the entire population with fear. Carthew knew that Zorro would surely destroy humanity, but how could he prove it? There was only one man who could, perhaps, help him. Calling Captain Future, the message beeped urgently from the high tower, out across the heavens. Calling Captain Future. Okay, so this sounds like a science fiction superhero book almost, right? Captain Future, wizard of science, mighty adventurer, meets his match in a war of solar doom. Okay. We'll give that one a shot. That one sounds delightful. City at World's End. Then the sky split open. One moment, Keniston was strolling down the quiet street, lost in pleasant reverie. The next moment, the sky split open. It split wide open, and above them was a burn and a blaze of light so swift, so violent, that the air itself seemed to have burst into flame. Then there was silence. Awful, suffocating silence. Keniston felt the chill of premonition, a shapeless terror that grew into a thing too evil to be borne alone. It says, this novel describes the shocking experience of a group of ordinary people catapulted by a mysterious explosion into a terrifyingly strange world of 1,000,000 years hence. It is not a prophecy, but a warning. Okay, yeah, I mean, this and Calling Captain Future are both relatively short. This is 160 pages. The other one felt quite a bit smaller. So there we go. We went 10 out of 10. I think I'm keeping all 10 of these, so that's always nice. I had a strong suspicion that I'd be keeping most of these with the Haldemans in there. The only way those two of those Haldeman books are leaving this collection is if I get the trilogy in the form that I really would like. I know exactly what one it is. I've seen it. And yeah, it'll be a good one to have. But I'm not due for a reread quite yet on Forever War. Maybe in another year or two. I want to revisit that trilogy. And when I do, that will be the copy that I want to go to. So there you go. That's all I've got. We'll stay tuned. I will try to be back for another library tour tomorrow. Possibly some Beowulf discussion. And on Wednesday, Epic Comic Book Wednesday. I will catch you later.